let's dive into another topic of conversation, a topic of conversation that we have to talk about that is every day, the Brandon Aiyuk situation, but really what comes next. Because if Brandon Aiyuk is showing up at training camp, okay, I don't know if you heard, okay, in a red shirt, in a red cutoff shirt, it looks like a deal's pretty much done. If you had to ask me, look, the optimism's here. And the more and more I talk to people, the more that I find myself realizing that the optimism for the Steelers is real, and it's a very good possibility, but it very much so is a backup plan at this point. That the San Francisco 49ers and Brandon Aiyuk kind of both want a deal to get done, and if nothing gets done, they're going to ship them to Pittsburgh. But if a deal gets done, where do the Steelers go from there? And I think that's the biggest question here, because you could sit here and talk all day long about how the Steelers don't need somebody and they can't give up that much money, and there isn't that many players that you pay that much money in the NFL. And I might agree with every single point of that. But at the same time, it doesn't matter what my opinion is or what your opinion is or what anybody's opinion is. The Steelers put all their cards on the table here, and they said, we're going to give you a trade for Brandon Aiyuk, and we're going to pay him more money than we pay TJ Watt. That's a statement, my friend. And I got a hard time believing, as good as Brandon Aiyuk is, that this is strictly Brandon Aiyuk, that this is, we just want the 49ers wide receiver. That's the only one that we're willing to do this for. We think he's the greatest of all time. I don't see that being the case. I think the Steelers are more so saying, we need a wide receiver. We're very aware that we need a wide receiver of this talent level for whatever reason that is. And they chose Brandon Aiyuk to go and pursue. Now, if he doesn't work out, do you go somewhere else? Do the Steelers look elsewhere? And even if you don't believe that the Steelers should look elsewhere, do you think that they do? Because there's a name like CeeDee Lamb out there who doesn't sign a contract. The Cowboys, Jerry Jones said it the other day, we're in no rush. There's no urgency to get a deal done with CeeDee Lamb right now. Seems like they're talking their way out of a situation in Dallas. Do you make those phone calls? Do you believe that the Pittsburgh Steelers continue this wide receiver hunt if Brandon Aiyuk does not come to Pittsburgh?
I think they do. And for the simple reason that everything else that Omar Khan has done this summer has kind of skewed towards the fact that he's trying to get them to win a Super Bowl this year. He's trying to do everything that he can to, without overly harming the future of the organization, give them a chance to win the Super Bowl this year. And I think with that comes the fact that he's going to look into all of these receivers, knowing that that is an area of weakness on the Steelers roster. Now, does that mean they're going to become serious contenders for a guy like CeeDee Lamb? Does that mean that they're going to, shell out a massive trade offer and then a massive contract for CeeDee Lamb? No. But at the very least, Omar Khan is going to do his due diligence. He's going to keep the door open for some of these moves, because all of the moves that he has made has said that I want to win a Super Bowl this year, or I want to win multiple playoff games this year. And to do that, you have to be open to keeping your eyes out for players that are going to improve your roster. And the one area that needs improved the most is probably wide receiver.
Yeah, I agree. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Have you ever found yourself scrolling on social media, maybe spending too much time on whatever platform you're addicted to, and thinking, man, why am I feeling down? Why do I find myself not finding the joy that social media is supposed to give me? That's because comparison is the thief of joy, and it's easy to envy other people's lives. But therapy can help. It can help you focus on what you want instead of what other people have, so you can start living your best life. I'm somebody who's advocated for therapy for a long time. You constantly see me wearing the sweatshirt, going to therapy is cool. I've reaped the benefits for years, and I think everybody who's thinking about it should add that to their agenda as well, because in one way or another, it's very helpful. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Stop comparing and start focusing with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/allsteelers today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/allsteelers. I agree. And again, like, you don't have to, nobody's got to agree that CeeDee Lamb is the next guy or as good as Brandon Aiyuk, or, you got to go get Tyreek. I don't care. You can name a dozen wide receivers. CeeDee Lamb is just the other one that makes sense. He's the only other guy that you could look at and say, things seem to be aligned the same way as Aiyuk, so you could pursue that one. The Steelers just want to get it done, and I believe that they'll continue this journey afterwards. If Aiyuk signs, they didn't do this for nothing. You know what I mean? And I got a hard time believing that if they were willing to do all this, that they're just going to settle. And you could believe, again, like, it has nothing to do. If it was up to me, I wouldn't make any of these trades. I'd give Brandon Aiyuk for a third-round pick, ideally, and I'd pay him $28 million, and I'd be very okay with that, because a wide receiver in 2-3 years is going to be worth 35 plus, not $28 million a season. You're going to have Brandon Aiyuk for a steal. That's just how it works. I'd give that up, and I'd give that up for CeeDee Lamb too, but I'm not giving up a second-round pick, a first-round pick. I just don't feel that that's necessarily worth it at this point in the Steelers, where the Steelers stand and the future of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'd give Van Jefferson a shot. I'd give Calvin Austin a shot. I'd see what could happen with the running game and with a mobile quarterback before I do anything. But the Steelers want a guy, man, and I believe that a guy is going to be pursued. Would CeeDee Lamb top your list of potential candidates as the next guy to pursue?
Right now, of the ones that are available, yes. But again, if ones become available in the future, I would imagine that CeeDee Lamb is probably going to get knocked down if a guy like DK Metcalf does indeed become available. But everything that we've heard so far this offseason is, that's smoke and not fire. The DK Metcalf is not going anywhere. So if he's not on the table, then yeah, CeeDee Lamb to me is probably the top option right now. But again, things are fluid, especially in the trade market in the NFL.
Yeah. Oh, always constantly revolving. I'd be shocked if DK ended up on it just doesn't make any sense. Like, Seattle just be like, you know what, man, we don't need to win this season. Whatever. Like, who cares? We have a new head coach. We're trying to lose. That's what we're trying to do. Wouldn't make any sense. I think CeeDee does top the list. I think it'd be very hard to come up with a name that would be better than CeeDee. I mean, you could have your issues with CeeDee Lamb, and there are issues to be had. Guy was 1,700 yards and 12 touchdowns last season.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. Like, that's an impressive stat line that you could build off of. I think that you could get that done. And I also think that you could, look, you might have to pay him 30 instead of 28, but I think that you can make that happen.